Section on page Memdaled.
Third line.
The line begins with the words Shiyiyek Mei HaMokor. The last 4 words we spent the whole shir yesterday. Well, the Rebbe,
The fourth line. Shia.
Shiyi, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fourth line.
Yeah.
What did I say? The 4th line from the beginning of this last section. So, the principle of Shitus. How is Shitus come in when we speak about sphirot? Although sphirot are gnuzes and so forth, nevertheless, Shitus is a completely different concept, as we discussed yesterday or the day before. And then the Rebbe says that the sphirot are gnuzes. This is the Shem Havaya. Shem Havaya is Shmi Ham Yuchid Bi, that which is united with me. Therefore, since it is Yichud Advekus Be'erin Soiv, so he said, therefore, Advekus B'hamokor, this is the last few words on the line before. Advekus in Mokor Mechayiv, it is imperative that it should be like the Mokor. The Mokor, there cannot be any admixture in the Mokor. It's a direct flow from, so to speak, from the not being. So anything is connected there, anything there has to be like the Mokeh itself. Beam came, and therefore, these are sphirot agnuzes, which are in a state, in the phenomenon of sphirot is the aspect of yichud advekus, union and connection to the Ayin Sof. Like the name of Shmi, my name. Thus, it has to be b'b'chinas pshitus. It has to be the element of pshitus. Anything connected to the Ayin Sof, to the Mokor, has to be b'b'chinas pshitus. Because in the Mokor there is no admixture of anything else but the reality itself. Like we explained yesterday, the Iyar from Mokor, the principle of Mokor, that there is no source from which it flows. It is not based on cumulative resource. It is the principle of reality itself. So there, everything has to be like reality itself. And therefore, these are sphirot agnuzes, which are in a union and connection to Ayin Sof. Therefore, it has to it must be b'b'chinas pshitos, in a pshitus manner. Pshitus means that they are not recognizable as an additional entity within the Ayin Sof itself. Rak, except only מפני שהם בבחינת גילוי, because, okay, is a new challenge here. Because that the sphirot are in the realm of Gili. What does it mean they're in the realm of Gili? And I will read a few more words, maybe the next parenthesis. I know, which means to say, when we say that there is b'chinas gilui, does not mean that they are begilui into the world or outside. But it means, it means that this oil in general, in principle, b'chinas gilui be'atzmusa yisborich, is in a gilui manner within the essence itself. Okay, again, you have to be together on this. What is this infer? What is this telling, talking about? Between as gila be'atzmusa. We spoke about Ratzon. In context over here in this whole paragraph, we spoke about Ratzon versus koiches. Above Ratzon, there is that which is called Oneg, and within Oneg, there is a phenomenon of what's called Oneg abilti murgosh and Oneg hamurgosh. Oneg that is identifiable, that is sensed, recognized, and then Oneg habilti murgosh, and Oneg that is not sensed. Now, all of these levels, Oneg in general, built in Murgosh, or Oneg Amurgosh, and then Ratzon, all of these are fundamental truths of the Nefesh. We spoke about Ratzon. I'll step off in a little bit and speak about Oneg. In contrast to other koiches like Sechel and Midas. Even the most profound Sechel, it is appropriate to ask what is it about and why. What interests you in this and why? In Ratzon, that question already dissipates. When you go to Oneg, the question has no place altogether. Oneg is a description of a living entity, of life itself. There is not a distinction, two things, the nefesh and that, when the nefesh is mesanek. Oneg exists only in a living nefesh. It doesn't exist anyplace else. Sechel can be replicated. Not Ratzon and not Oneg. There is a a different. You'll have to think into this Oneg and Ratzon. Oneg versus Ratzon. Oneg is a totally internal aspect. Ratzon is an active state. Like we say all the time, Sechel is initiated by Ratzon. What gives Sechel a sense of reality? It is Ratzon. And the way Ratzon initiates a Sechel is that Ratzon actually, so to speak, tells the Sechel there is a reality. There's an active element in Ratzon. There is not an active element in Oneg. Oneg is completely united with the life force of the nefesh. So here we have identified, to the extent that we can identify and understand this thing, but in principle, that all three madrigas of Ratzon and Oneg and Oneg built in Murgas is really connected totally to the nefesh. It cannot exist without its bind with the nefesh. There's nothing there to exist. And yet, there are madrigas within that itself. In what way, how do we identify and define these madrigas? We define the madrigas in the sense that there is the nefesh as the nefesh is completely unto itself. So to speak, the nefesh does not know itself. It doesn't need to know itself. Then there is a level of Oneg. Oneg is not an add-on to the nefesh. It is Oneg within itself, but he is aware of it. And then further down, Ratzon has such a level of awareness that it can even tell the Sechel about it. The Sechel can even think about it. There is such a Ratzon. This is the meaning that is B'chinas Gilui. That this is, it is emanating from the truth of the nefesh itself, but it is emanating, but the nefesh is speaking of itself. That's why, even though it is from the nefesh itself, we can still speak of different qualities. Oneg built in Murgas, all time Murgas, and we can talk about Ratzon. Because these are qualities that have to do with Gilui, how the nefesh identifies itself within itself. This is just a very limited expose to the Inyan. It's not the time now to go into it deeper. But this is the Inyan what it says, that it is B'chinas Gilui. B'chinas Gilui. Gilui does not mean it expresses itself elsewhere. It is an element of Gilui within itself. It is where it knows itself. Knowing itself is a very Gilui, because it's real truth. It has nothing to do with being aware of anything, not even being aware of itself. And that's what the Rebbe says. Sheklolos ha'oyin hu b'pchinas gilui be'atzmusa yizbarich. This oyer, oyer in Sof in general, is b'pchinas gilui be'atzmusa, is the element of gilui be'atzmusa. V'chol gilui, and every gilui, here again, we come to a point where there is some kind of a logical, a rational presentation. V'chol gilui, any gilui, behechrech sheyeh Beis sphirot. Like we said the other time, there was also behechrech. That opens up a window, which a means for us to be able to dig in and try to understand what understand the Sechel, what is being said. Gilui, if this is a gilui, something that surfaces, not something that is completely inherent in the essence. Behechrech, it is imperative, it is a must, Iyar Beis sphirot, that in Gilui there should be sphirot. Why should in the Gilui be sphirot? Behechrech there should be sphirot. What is sphirot? If I may, do I have my audience with me? Yes? Yeah. Again, I'm going to step off to a somewhat a lower level. I've said many times that everything on the ruchnisike level and even super ruchnisike level has a similar thing in Gashmis. And that's what we have to distinguish and understand, that this is a much lower level than what we are trying to explain. We said that re'iyah, sight, is a reflection of chochmah. And explain this. How is sight a reflection of chochmah? Sight is a means of connecting, of knowing an object, without taking the object out of its place, like in hearing or in touch. It is seeing the object in its truth, in its abode. If it's but how the object is not talking to you, it's talking to itself. That it doesn't know you're there. So what does it mean you're seeing it? This is why we want to explain that sight is like chochmah. That sight has the element that the object was created and exposed to you, that you should be able to see it. The way we express it is being shown to you. This is the real element aspect of sight. Not like in touch, where you grope in the darkness and something hit your hand, and so you know that something is there. You discovered it by your own experience, and therefore the discovery is limited to your experience. Sight is not in that level anymore. You don't discover sight by the experience of seeing. You see it because it's being shown to you. So therefore, in sight, we have two realizations. We have the realization of what we see and how we see it, and that which makes and that which exposes itself for us to see.
Second one was that which
exposes itself for us to see. In other words, that which is here. I'm holding this, and you see it, and you see it suspended. You're not seeing it suspended. You're seeing it suspended. That's what you see. But deeper, you're seeing it that it's being held up.
Oh, the one who's so the second realization is the one who's showing us.
Who's showing it? It's incorrect to say that I see it suspended. Yes, it's suspended, but simultaneous with that, it's not just suspended; it's being held, and I see that there is something that's holding it up. The truth is that which is holding it up. The suspended element, this is the closest to being held up. This is like the chochmah. It's completely representative of being held up, not anything else. Not anything of itself.
Well, this last point, the what was closest to chochmah, the insight where you see who's showing you, the one who,
yeah.
That's
the fact that there is something showing it. That's chochmah. That's seeing beyond what you're seeing with your physical at your physical level. The physical level is suspended.
yeah.
This is what the Rebbe is saying. Kol gilui behechrech sheyeh b'sphirot. In a gilui there is behechrech b'sphirot, because in a gilui there is that which is begilui and that which is megala.
That which is megala is basically him.
Yeah, but that's right. But it's his will to be megala.
And that by necessity needs to be 10.
Well, spheres. 10 is yes.
It needs to be
spheres. There need to be individual spheres.
Yeah.
Stages, means of presentation. Means of presentation. Yes, indeed, it is 10. It is the inception, and then they're all the way down to the fact. So this is what we say. That's a spheres are the pshitus. Why it was a pshitus? Why do we say that there is essa spheres? It's a pshitus. The answer is because that they bebchinas gil, because that they have this element of gil. And then he says in parentheses because close ho'er who bebchinas gil be'atzmusa. That the oil in general is in a sense of gilui be'atzmusa, gilui within himself. And we explained that there is in himself there is that which is himself, and that which is begilui to himself. But he's aware of himself, of what he is. And a gilui behechrech sheyeh b'sphirot. In a gilui there has to be in different spheres. Because Gilui speaks of something which has a source and a state of development and the end. Therefore, Be'echa Shei Beis Sphirot. All right. So who is everybody talking to? There you got it.
Chewable.
Huh?
Chewable.
Chewable.